Hello friends of Lagatin and Tony, welcome to another video where today I'm going to show you how to propagate lavender by cuttings. We'll use 3 different methods so you can decide which one you prefer or which is easier for you, but most importantly, we'll look at the results. So, pay close attention because propagating lavender, like other aromatic plants, is very easy. As you can see, we've already got a bunch of roots on this cutting, and we can do this at any time of the year. The best time to do it is during fall or spring pruning. We need to choose a semi-woody branch, and this one would be more than enough. We'll take several, taking advantage of the pruning to propagate them by cuttings. We'll also take a tender branch to see if it's sprouting. We're looking for those woody branches with shoots, and that's where we'll try. See? Here's a semi-woody branch with shoots. We cut it off. Same thing here. We cut. Once we have, as you can see, a bunch of cuttings, we'll prepare them. We don't need to take so many, but the more, the better. Now, it's very important to prepare them well. We're looking for, as I mentioned, a semi-woody stem. This one, for example, is perfect. We remove this part that's already dry. Probably we've pruned here, and this stem ends up dying back to where the shoots start sprouting new lavenders. And here we have more shoots, as you can see. We remove them. The ideal thing is to have 2 to 3 nodes, which is what we're going to end up burying or putting into the substrate. So here we have 2 buds. We cut the tips, so the lavender or any cutting in general loses as little moisture as possible through transpiration. And this stem we removed, which is not a semi-woody one, well, let's try to root it too. We cut the upper part, so it has few leaves, lots of stem, and we'll test this in another substrate to see which works better for us. Okay, let's continue preparing more lavender cuttings. Here we have another example. As you can see, a semi-woody stem, we take advantage of it. Cut here. Actually, we don't need scissors or anything. We want to remove the lower leaves. We'll leave at least 2/3 of the stem without leaves. Okay, as you see like this, 2/3 without leaves, and we cut off the top part, this would be kind of the stem we're looking for to propagate. Once we have our cuttings ready, ideally, the stem we peeled should have nodes, at least 1 or 2. That's ideal. Here I have one, for example, that we'll try. That doesn't have any stem. Honestly, I don't think this one will root, but we're going to try anyway. Ideally, they should have 2 to 3 nodes. You see here we have 1, 2 nodes. This one is perfect. And we're going to do it in 3 different ways. So let's see how we'll organize it. The first method we're going to use is like we did with rosemary, which is simply putting our cuttings in water. Okay, we can use rooting hormones or lentil rooting hormones. Not this one, it sinks too much. Aloe vera rooting hormone. We can use other types of liquid rooting agents. Ideally, we put the rooting hormone and remove it the next day and leave it in water. So let's try with this one. It's this one, for example, which is too big. Honestly, it has very large stems, but like I said, ideally, we try still very easy. It's important that it has several nodes that are in contact with water or soil, however we're going to do it. The more cuttings we make, the higher the success rate we'll have. That's undeniable. So this would be the first method. Another method we're going to try is with beach sand. I use beach sand as I showed you in another video, but we can use river sand or construction sand, just sand. As we bury them, we bury the nodes. Very important. It's ideal not to wet or soak the sand until we put the stems in so they don't struggle to go in. Okay, and as I said, I'll leave a video up here on the screen so you can see how I use this substrate, the sand, to root, Honestly, this is usually the one that gives me the most success. It will be the second method, and the third method we're going to use is substrate mixed with sand. A substrate rich in worm humus. We have added worm humus to it, so our little plants don't lack anything. We can also water with rooting agents. As I said, I'll leave some on the screen. The one that's working best for me right now is the aloe vera one. So I'll leave that rooting agent on the screen so you can take a look and see it. Ideally, the more we bury the stem, much better. We're going to put several. We'll place a few more in the water since we have leftovers, and a few more in the sand. That's perfect. It's very important to moisten the substrate well, so let's make sure it's damp. We don't want it too wet, but the sand as well. The good thing about sand is that it retains moisture much better than the substrate. Let's make sure everything is watered properly and place our cuttings near a window with indirect sunlight. Really important to avoid direct sun. We'll check every day to make sure they don't lack moisture. Obviously, we have to monitor less those that are in water. But for these with the substrate, we must keep it mostly moist, not waterlogged. If it dries too much, we water it. Same goes for the sand. Let's see which of the three methods works best. As I've mentioned, lately I've been trying the sand method and it's been working great for me. But until the end of the video, you won't discover which is the best method. A month and a half has passed, and out of the 3 tests we've done, as I mentioned, with 3 methods, it's clear one failed, and all of them did. I have to say, they had the same humidity as the sand. We even got some grass here. Imagine how well the sand works. Like I said, I'll leave you a video on the screen to show how to do cuttings with sand. So, we'll discard this one, and the ones in water have grown too. So let's take them out and let me show you. Look, we already have one with roots, lots of roots. This lavender could be planted now. The rest haven't grown roots, but as you can see, they're sprouting new stems and leaves. So we'll keep them for now. As I mentioned, a month and a half, and I don't want to unearth the ones in sand yet, but see you next time. As you can see, they're all sprouting new shoots, so it looks like it's going to be a success too. While we wait for the 2 months to complete, because I want to wait a little longer to show you the ones in sand, I'm going to transplant this one because it has roots already. So it can now survive on its own. We've taken a container, we can use a bigger pot, smaller one. I'll transplant it later. So we put a little substrate, a balanced one, and we put our root inside. Be careful not to break it. Just hold it and keep adding soil. Very carefully, we don't want to break the little root that's come out. As you can see, it's an easy method to propagate our lavender. It is a bit time consuming, but in the end, we just have to watch them day by day. I don't want to press too hard. Then when I water, I'll let the soil settle, and if it needs more, I'll add some. So, I'll leave them with their companions to see how they evolve. It's been another 15 days. Let me just show you how our lavender has evolved. Nothing compares once it has roots and we transplant it, compared to the ones in water. Here I have another rosemary cutting, and we'll check the ones in the sand. A week later, we see the cuttings are developing roots, so we can at least transplant the ones with roots. The rest can go back in the sand. Look, I have this sand here stored for making cuttings and storing tubers, and grass is germinating in it. Well, look at that. That's fine. Let's take the lavenders out. I'll do it here on top to reuse the sand, which will be useful for future cuttings or storing tubers. As I'm saying, let's see how it goes. Very well. Surprises they give us. I think these here are rooted. This one's rooted. Now I'll put them in water, so you can see there's no trick here. This one too. Let's see if we have any more. This one and this one not yet. we can put this back in the sand. But this one, yes, really, except for one or two, it's been a success. My fellow gardeners, truly a success. With this root, we can already transplant them like we did before. Look how beautiful it is. It's actually quite easy to root lavenders. So, we just place a lavender in a cup like we did last time and put in some good soil. I have a mix of potting soil with compost. We can also use some worm castings. They don't need much fertilizer, so we shouldn't worry. Fill it up well, and we press it, then we water it to remove leftover substrate, clean the sand a bit, but you can see, really a success. So folks, you've seen how simple it is to propagate lavender, another aromatic cutting we've done on the channel, like rosemary, rue, and many more. It's really simple, the best way to propagate aromatics for more. And you've seen the step-by-step, the 3 ways to do it. So I hope you liked the video. Above all, I hope it was helpful. And see you next Thursday on Tony's Huertina channel. See you later.